1. I used to work at a major theme park in the central United States that had a major theme park with roller coasters, theme rides and whatnot, but was also attached to their own water park. I myself used to work in the water park in various roles, but hadn't been an employee there in nearly 4 or 5 years. Me being a previous employee, I still had friends in management who worked there, and I could get in for free to basically any part of the park whenever I wanted. We're approaching 4 p.m. on a nice sizzlingly hot afternoon, and some clouds start to roll in, thunder sounds in the distance, and all the lifeguards blow their whistles and begin to shut down all the rides. I had been relaxing in one of the cabanas that day. Little did I realize that crazy guest lady, CGL from now on, mistook me for an active employee, basically just because I was in the cabana next to hers. Keep in mind, CGL and her family had been at the water park for 6 or 7 hours at this point, and had seen me there all day relaxing. "Excuse me, my children say that they," points at the lifeguards, "won't let them go into the snotty brat roller coaster anymore, so you need to fix this." I'm pretty sure they do this every time a storm comes. What do you mean it's not even raining yet? They do it for guest safety. Listen you, I paid good money for this cabana today, and I demand that you reopen the park for my children to be able to go on these rides. I don't see any danger, so get to it. At this point, being a previous employee, I try to be cordial about the situation and diffuse it so nobody else would have to handle this greaseball of a human being, yet still remain professional about it. "Ma'am, there's not anything I can control. That's a policy set in place by the management, based upon the weather." "This is insane. We barely got to use our cabana or the water park. And now we can't even go on any of the rides. This is a joke. You are a joke. I don't know why we come here." You are more than welcome to wait out the thunderstorm in the main park. But they shut down the water park and all major attractions during these times, for guest safety, because of, lightning. "No, that's not what I asked for. Who is your manager?" This is the point where my patience had run out. Time to cut this conversation short and move on with my life. In case you didn't notice, I've been in the cabana next to you for the past 5 hours. Does it look like I work here? Points at my crazy beach shorts and flip-flops. "I don't care what you say, you're obviously lying. Now who is your manager?" At this point I had given up trying to reason with CGL. I packed up all my crap and left her behind, shouting into the wind as the thunderstorm continued to bellow in the background. I asked my buddy what happened after I left, and apparently she continued to rant and rave, despite getting 70 to 80% of a full day experience, all because the last 2 hours of the park operating hours were shut down due to, lightning at a water park. 2. Wow, just wow. So this happened Thursday at the library close to my house. I was walking by some books on display when I accidentally knocked over some of those books. 7 fell off the shelf. These were new children's books which had come out in the past 3 months. While I was picking them up and placing them back on the display stands, I heard a loud, "Excuse me?" I am extremely socially awkward and tend to shy away from direct confrontation if at all possible. I don't like causing a scene. Plus, this was a library. I turned around and this lady looked like your typical soccer mom and had 3 children under the age of 10 with her, 2 boys and 1 girl. I spoke in a whisper as I did not want to disturb the other patrons of the library. Sorry, She cut me off abruptly. "Sorry does not cut it. I have spent the past couple of minutes trying to get your attention." I have a form of autism, and when I am focused on a task, I tend to drown out all other background sounds. This is, of course, unintentional. I tried to explain that to this woman, but she wasn't having any of it. "Stop coming up with excuses to avoid doing your job." It was then I realized that she thought I worked at the library, as there is no official dress code for library workers, and I was in business casual. I was wearing a pair of black pants with a matching black shirt, which was striped, along with black ballet flats. "Ma'am, I don't..." She cut me off again, her face getting red. "My children need books to read for their class, and you will get those books." Now I should note that I was with my mom at the library, as she is my main form of transportation, and I had an appointment with my therapist at 3 p.m., the location of which is close to the library. I almost had tears in my eyes as this woman berated me in front of her children. saying I was incompetent, retarded, stupid, and should work a job that is more my speed. I couldn't take it and began to cry. It has been a very long time since I encountered this kind of bullying and verbal abuse. My mom was looking for me as it was nearing 3 o'clock and she saw me standing there crying while this horrible woman yelled at me. My mom has always been there for me, supported me, and is definitely a mama bear. So when she heard this woman calling me such awful things, she went into mama bear mode and sped on over to where I was, getting up in this woman's face. She said, and I quote, "That is my daughter you are speaking to, and I do not take kindly to people who bully others, but especially adults like yourself who should know better. My daughter is only 2 more semesters away from graduating college, despite her ADHD and Asperger's." The woman's face went from red to white. She stammered and stuttered, trying to find the right words. Meanwhile, I asked the kids with her what kind of books they were looking for, and that even though I may not work at the library, I may be able to help them locate a certain type or genre of book they would enjoy reading. The kids were surprisingly far more pleasant than their mother. I directed the kids over to one of my favorite books when I was their age. The girl chose a Junie B. Jones book, and the boy chose a Magic Treehouse book. The kids went back to their mom and told her that they found some books to read. With a huff and a snort, she stomped over towards the library checkout desk and checked out their books and left. My mom made sure I was okay, and asked me why I helped the kids of that horrible excuse of a mother, her words, not mine. I told her they were not the ones who yelled and berated me. Rather, it was their mothers, so I held no ill will towards the children, whereas I held great contempt towards their mother. 3. I was an intern last fall working for an organization that organizes all kinds of clubs and events for kids. Big part of my job was to keep the local clubs running. Usually they got local teens to run these things, but lately less and less people have been interested in that, so we had to take care of it. No problem. I have experience with clubs. These kids, however, were mostly little demons. It varied from club to club, but I can't remember the last time I've seen kids who behave that badly. Thankfully, I wasn't alone. I had a partner with me at all times, but wow, I can still hear them screaming and shouting. They were probably somewhere around 6 to 11 years old, but they were already swearing and stuff like that. It wasn't all terrible. Sometimes they actually behaved. But it was a tough 4 months. The first form of "I don't work here, lady" comes from the fact that the kids didn't exactly realize what an intern was. I had multiple conversations, a couple of times with the same kid, that went pretty much like this.
"You can't tell me what to do, what I can't do, how to behave. I'm gonna complain to your boss and you won't get paid."
But there's a small problem with that. I already don't get paid. I'm an intern.
"What? What does that even mean?"
And I would explain what it meant, and that I wouldn't be replacing my partner who had been running the clubs all by herself for the last year. A couple of them would every now and then threaten to call my boss and complain about me, but obviously they never did anything like that. The second incident has really stuck with me for some reason. We were legally responsible for the kids for the 1.5 hours the club lasted, and the kids knew that. But after the club had ended, we usually walked them to the nearest bus stop, and that would take them home. That was outside of our time. We didn't really have to watch them after the club ended, but we did anyway. It was November, it was snowing, the roads were covered in ice. The 8-year-olds in the group thought it would be a funny idea to start running across the street and back. They discussed it silently so that I wouldn't hear it. And suddenly one of them just sprinted across the street even though a car had just passed. I think I had a mini heart attack, and they were laughing as the kids sprinted back. "Hey, I wouldn't do that if I were you. I really don't think you want to get run over by a car."
"Well, it doesn't matter. You're responsible for it, so it's your fault if something happens to me."
Really now? This kid had the smuggest smile I've ever seen on a person. He honestly thought he trapped me in some sort of way. That smile still haunts my dreams to this day. Just imagine the smuggest smile you can think of and multiply that by 3. "Oh, is that so?
Yep, if anything happens to me, you're going to be the one in trouble.
Well, that is indeed interesting. Seeing as my responsibility over you ended as soon as you stepped out of that building. His smile wavered a little, but he kept on going.
No, you're responsible. I'm at your club, so it's your job to make sure that nothing happens to me. That's how the rules go.
That's where you're wrong, buddy. The club ended 10 minutes ago. I don't even have to be here right now. But we, my work partner and I, just want to make sure that you make it to the bus, because we're nice. If a car runs over you, it's not going to be nice, but we're not legally responsible for that. The smile disappeared. He seemed to have a really hard time understanding my words, but hey, he wasn't running to the traffic anymore. As demonic as the kids could be, I still really loved my internship at that place. It took me a few long months, but the kids really started to grow on me. Even though they pulled stunts like this. Even the "let me just run into the traffic" kid was actually super smart and nice when his friends weren't there to encourage him to do stupid stuff. Still, I could rant about everything that happened for a good 5 hours straight. 4. I had been working for a small business since August 2017, sold protein shakes and health supplements on eBay and Amazon. While I was there was a woman who I'll refer to as NC, narcissistic cunt, who would pull me up on the slightest of mistakes. To give you an idea of what she was like, I made a typo in an Excel file that resulted in a 40-minute discussion, yet when a colleague made a similar mistake, her response was, "Good thing it was caught then." You get the idea. 2 months ago, I get offered a new job, similar type of business, eBay and Amazon sales, but better hours and a small raise. New boss is my age, and more level-headed, but works with my old boss, helping him run the business as a contractor. Fast forward to last Tuesday. New boss asks me if I want to do some work for old boss tomorrow. I was due to be off on Wednesday. Okay, how long am I needed? 12 to 3 p.m. Okay, I'll be there. I show up and there's a box of stock to be listed. There's only about 12 things in the box. If they're already on Amazon, 30 minutes will be plenty. Only 2 of them are listed, so it'll take 2 or more hours to get this done. Fine. 20 minutes in and my phone rings. It's my mum. Odd. She never calls during work hours unless it's important. Turns out that it's not. She just wants me to pick up a book next time I'm in town for her. She thought I was at home. Why are you taking a personal call? It's my mum. She doesn't call unless it's important. You can't take personal calls in the office. It distracts people. Normally, there are 2 to 3 people in the office. The sales guy was out in the field and the other 2 were on lunch. NC was in her office, separate from where I was by 15 meters plus. The interaction has put me in a stressed mood, so I head out for a smoke. On the way back in, I stop by my own office to grab my headphones. I put on some music and get back to work. The office phone rings, and NC eventually answers. When she finishes the call, she comes to me. Why didn't you answer the phone? Because you're here. You're meant to answer the phones. Why? I don't work here. You're here. Working. No, I'm doing old boss a favor. No, new boss is doing the favor. So, new boss is working here from 35 miles away? Okay. At this point, I grab my coat and head for the door. Where are you going? Home. You can't. You haven't finished. I'm getting new boss on the phone. Go ahead. You're not welcome at the Christmas party tomorrow. Didn't know I was invited. NB, despite being friendly with NC, was cool with this. 5. So I worked as a dental assistant for about 6 months for training purposes. Our office sees all sorts of people and without insurance and mainly Medicaid patients. Medicaid is pretty decent for insurance if there are no other options. It pays for more than you may think, and this is important for later. Also in the small town I worked in, our dentist is the only dentist in town that works on Fridays, making Fridays our busiest days. This particular Friday, we were slammed for the afternoon with patients who had large treatment plans and most were emergencies. At about 2 o'clock, 3 of these patients show up. With our rooms still taken by the 1 o'clocks, we had no way of seeing these patients on time. So we worked with it, telling them all the common, "Sorry, but once a room is cleaned for you, we will take you back." And we did, slowly but surely. We had the rooms filled again with incredibly similar symptoms and prior situations. 2 of these were younger kids, like 19, but their mothers told them they would get done. Now, when you go into a doctor's office at 19, even with Mommy Dearest, you, as a result, tell us what you would like done. If Mommy says one thing but you say another, doctors go with what you want, not Mommy. So we have 2 of these hand-holding adult children doing what Mommy wants, and my co-worker and I split up and do what we need to do. I take an x-ray on mine, she just gets her patient ready. I give my best. With that done, doctor should be in shortly. And the lady was fairly nice to me. In comes doctor and he diagnoses the problem and giving the solution that would save the tooth. Mommy doesn't want her 19-year-old son to have his first tooth. Doctor tries to explain that, sure, they don't have to save the tooth, but to ensure the patients understand all options, he has to inform her of every option available.
I don't understand why you won't listen to me. Our families had bad teeth. None of us saved them.
Oh no. She said it. There is nothing genetically wrong with your teeth. Doctor addresses the silent 19-year-old. What's wrong with your teeth is a lack of flossing and or brushing. The lady shuts up for a second. I think I see the light at the end of this awkward tunnel.
Is there something genetic? None of the men in my family have teeth and I do brush.
Really, kid? You do know not everything your mother says is God's word, right? Doctor is defeated. He turns to me. Get the extraction tray ready. I leave the room. The office manager is in the back, and I give her a quick rundown of what's happening. Not even a minute since I left the room does the doctor appear, waving what I assume was the kid's chart. I refuse to be spoken to in such a manner. He leaves the record in the manager's confused hands. I grab the tray and consent form and perform my duties and wait. Doctor ignores the room. The lady smiles at me. A lot, I say. Doctor has other large cases going on simultaneously to this one. Please be patient as we make our way back to you. 5 minutes later, I walk back into their room to check on them. Vanished. Oh well, I get to clean an almost fairly clean room. I stand in the back ready to autoclave the instruments we didn't use. Our hygienist enters mumbling something about rude patients. What's wrong, I ask. That woman right there is going off about how doctor is ignoring her and a ton of other BS about patient autonomy. Yes, you picked your treatment, but we're obviously very busy today. Gosh, patients can be so awful. Uh-huh. So, nice lady to me is throwing a fit in a room full of waiting patients. In the following weeks, she left our office and refused to pay any remaining balance. Fine, we've dealt with those before. Then, 2 months after, she leaves a nasty review on Google for us, saying we didn't listen to patients and refused to treat Medicaid patients. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, number 8. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Well, my hunt for a new microphone continues. I've been watching lots of videos. Get comfy. I've been watching lots of videos, and I've come to the conclusion that what I really want is all of the microphones. Well, all of the most expensive microphones anyway. But given that I can't buy all the microphones, certainly not all the most expensive ones, I am leaning towards one more than the other, which is essentially just an improved version of what I already have. I know that works well with my voice, and not every microphone works well with every single voice. It's a matter of preference sometimes, but you can hear a difference with some of them. Although, quite frankly, I meant to get another microphone a while ago anyway. The idea was I'd have something like an option so I could change for different things. But this one here does still work. I'm concerned that it'll crap out on me when I'm in the middle of doing a video, and then I'll have to either cross my fingers and hope I can get next day delivery, or at worst, 1 day delivery. Because otherwise, I'd have to skip videos, and it's not something I want to do. But yeah, we're okay for now. It's working fine now. And it will probably continue to work for a while, to be honest with you, but I'll get a new one of some description probably next week, I think. I think that's when payday is at some point. So we'll get the new equipment then. Okay, gonna get these videos made. It's 20 to 3 in the morning. That is late. And then I'll think about getting something to eat. Plan what I'm doing tomorrow. Should probably do something, get out of the house for a while. Anyway, okay, with that I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.